Welcome to Justice Losers, a podcast where we discuss entertainment media, namely movies, TVs, and comics. I'm your host, Preston, joined as always by my delightful co-host,
Matt.
Matt, what should people do?
Not say entertainment.
I was hoping you wouldn't notice.
Like, subscribe, and start a fight in the comments. We're
Look,
looking
man,
for
I got
controversy.
close the second try. And
We're just rolling with it. If you want to really start some controversy in the comments, what you should do is do a perfectly literal transliteration of what Preston just said for the intro sequence, because, boy, I think it's going to be a mess.
I feel like that was about 18,000 words too many for what you were trying to say.
Sounds about right. Stir up some controversy. If we say something today that you disagree with or find disagreeable or controversial, make a comment on it in the comments in whichever medium you're mediuming on, I guess. So, Preston.
Yes, sir.
Name me some holidays.
National Pancake Day, International Best Friend Day.
Very good. Very good.
Mommy's Day. But Matt,
But Preston.
I know what holiday we're talking about.
Well, I want to get a few of the big ones out there.
Easter.
Right. So there's some holidays out there, right?
Halloween.
Halloween, that's a big one. That's a real
big
one.
Christmas.
That's probably the big one.
Oh, Valentine's Day, my guy.
Valentine's Day's a good one.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
Get some heart-shaped
4th of
chocolates.
July, maybe?
4th of July, kind of, yeah. I mean,
If you're in America.
it's a holiday.
Thanksgiving.
Hey, there's one. That's a good one. Yeah. Okay. Which of the major holidays have at least a reasonable subgenre of movies?
Halloween.
Christmas, Valentine's Day up to a point. There are, even Halloween, like, there's a lot of horror movies that are not set around Halloween.
Groundhog Day.
Okay.
There is a single groundhog.
It's true. Punxsutawney Phil.
Yeah.
And there's a single movie. So Christmas movies is basically a whole subgenre unto itself.
Yeah.
Halloween movies, not all horror movies are Halloween movies, but there are Halloween movies within the horror subgenre.
Yes.
Or the horror genre, I guess would be the phrase.
Mm-hmm.
Not all rom-coms are Valentine's Day movies, but there are Valentine's Day movies within the subgenre of rom-coms.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to just set aside 4th of July because it is antithetical to my point. And what about Thanksgiving? You got any Thanksgiving movies?
Yeah, there's none.
There are, sort of.
There's none. Don't. No.
I'll get back to it. So I did a little digging. I proposed this episode topic a month or two ago, and it's like, I don't know any Thanksgiving movies. So I Googled it, and I found some lists about some Thanksgiving movies, and I watched the 6 I listed. So I'm going to go through those again. Pieces of April, Cretia, The Ice Storm, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Free Birds, and Hannah and Her Sisters. And of those, only one of them I would really call a Thanksgiving movie in the sense that, like, a Christmas movie is a Christmas movie. That'd be Free Birds. I'm just going to read the IMDb description.
Uh-oh.
2 turkeys from opposite sides of the tracks must put aside their differences and team up to travel back in time to change the course of history and get turkeys off the Thanksgiving menu for good.
Yep, that came out a little bit, like, pretty recently.
I've said it twice now, 2013. This is the 3rd time.
I don't listen to Matt.
This is well established. It's pretty bad. But that's the only one on that list that I would truly consider like a Thanksgiving movie, where it is about Thanksgiving and everything revolves around Thanksgiving. Yeah. And I think maybe Pieces of April is kind of that, but I would argue, I think my kind of core thesis today, I should ask you. I should put you on the spot. I should spark some discussion here.
Oh, shit.
Make you look dumb and then kind of see if I can build you up to my own point.
That sounds totally on board with what we usually do.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so why not? Why no Thanksgiving movies?
Well, my first thought is that it is a very American one. So
it's true.
Don't have a broader audience outside of America.
Mm-hmm.
2, I think Hollywood is a little scared of touching on the topic of true Thanksgiving because it is pretty... the implications ignore some pretty gnarly shit.
Okay. All right, even just modernize it then. Why don't we have any modern movies, Thanksgiving movies in the same sense that we have Christmas movies?
Too close to Christmas.
Huh. Okay.
I think if you're going to if a movie is going to spend it, if the studio is going to spend its time trying to make a movie that's going to come out around this time, Christmas is already commercialized.
It's true.
Jump on the bandwagon. Christmas is a more pretty unified idea of what happens around Christmas. There's more of a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Is like in every house. But like Thanksgiving varies from family to family. You got your typical, your turkeys, your pumpkin pies, but like things can vary. And maybe Thanksgiving is also terrifying for a lot of families because it's when you get a lot of family together and you're forced to sit around a table and deal with the people that are the opposite political party of yours.
No, you're definitely onto something there. I think in a couple different directions.
Christmas is a time for just happiness and joy, and like joy is everywhere on Christmas. Like it's in 13 of the 15 songs.
Yeah.
It's about Thanksgiving is about being around your family. Christmas is about being with your family.
Okay.
And I think it's easier to play with being with your family. Like, because all these movies, all the Christmas movies have something to do with being away from your family or like being isolated in some way, kind of stuff like that. So it putting it in a Christmas setting makes it a little bit more somber.
Right. It's the contrast between the joy and isolation.
Isolation, yeah.
Yeah. And I hadn't thought of that point, but I really like it. Like Christmas, you can boil down to one singular, very base level, visceral emotion, joy.
Yeah.
Halloween, you can boil down into one singular, basic, visceral emotion, fear.
Yeah.
Valentine's Day, you can boil down into one simple, basic, visceral emotion.
Lust.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Thanksgiving, you can boil down into gratitude, gluttony.
Not as visceral emotions.
No, you can condense it into one singular idea, but it's not something that like reaches out and grabs you on a very core level. Something that you can explain to a 5-year-old with a poster. Is it you that I always argue with about when it's acceptable to start playing Christmas music?
Yes, probably.
Yeah,
I argue with everybody about that.
Yeah, because you insist not till after Thanksgiving. Yeah. Which makes sense, and I see the rationale and I accept it
because I love Thanksgiving so much.
Thanksgiving's a really great holiday.
It's my favorite holiday.
Okay.
Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday.
Yeah.
And it just stomps on it. And I feel like people don't. I mean, to bring it back into the topic, I think it's just an underappreciated holiday for the essence of what it should be.
Yeah, people see it as a lesser Christmas, and they're just like, oh, we'll have a nice dinner, and then Christmas is the real deal in a month.
Exactly, yeah. There's so much more that could be done with Thanksgiving if it wasn't just less than 30 days after or before Christmas. Like, it just gets blown out of the water, and I think that plays into why there's no Thanksgiving movies, because like, there's just an easier one 27 days later.
Yeah, no, that's
28 days later. Kind of disappointed I didn't hit that one the first time, but
Gage can edit it together somehow.
Thanks, Gage, for making me look funnier than I am.
So we always have this debate: when can you start playing Christmas music? Yep. And I saw it on the fact that it's okay if you start playing November 1st. I like to wait till after Thanksgiving just to get my little dose of Christmas music, and it's good, but then it's over and done with. But I think it's okay because Thanksgiving doesn't have an associated subculture that you're actually competing with.
My thing for a second was like music. Like in every Christmas music, there's the bells, like the sound of Christmas music. But there's not that for Thanksgiving.
There aren't even like Thanksgiving songs.
No,
not really. Not. I mean, maybe you find a couple if you look hard enough. But
someone tell us a Thanksgiving song.
Someone send us a video of you singing a Thanksgiving song.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, with Christmas, you've got Christmas music, both secular and religious. You've got Christmas trees. You've got presents. You've got snow and all of the associated sort of pagan wintry stuff.
Green.
Red and green. Thanksgiving, you've got cornucopia?
Yeah.
Turkey.
You got warm colors.
Yeah. But it's much less focused.
Thanksgiving and Halloween kind of just get like blurred into the fall aesthetic.
The fall-a-days.
I love it. I like it way more than I should. The holidays. Christmas can be distinguished from winter. There is a winter aesthetic.
Yeah.
And there's a Christmas aesthetic.
But the two often get glommed together.
They often get glommed together, but there's still you can identify a Christmas aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
We have a cornucopia.
Yep.
That is just the fall aesthetic, but it kind of works for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
A pumpkin is kind of fall, like it's the fall drink and fall flavor, but a pumpkin jack-o'-lantern is Thanksgiving or it's Halloween. So it's all just kind of this muddy combination of the same colors and vibe. But there's winter, which is like the cold and cocoa and stuff like that. Like there's that kind of winter aesthetic. But then Christmas is, like you mentioned, it's the Christmas presents, the red and green.
Yeah.
That is different from winter.
Right.
Winter has nothing to do with red and green.
Okay. I see where you're going with
and
that.
Christmas
Cool.
trees are exclusively for Christmas. It's harder to capitalize or harder to capture a Thanksgiving aesthetic without just going fall aesthetic than it is to capture a Christmas aesthetic without going winter aesthetic.
All right. Let me tie that back into my big thesis that I was kind of building up to here.
Yay! I did it!
In movies, Christmas is a setting. Thanksgiving is a plot device. So in Christmas movies, I really liked what you were saying about this idea of joy. And so a lot of sort of the, I guess, like real world type holiday movies, Home Alone, Christmas with the Cranks. Why can't I think of any others off the top of my head? I should have had a list.
That's
Grinch.
a real...
Well, I mean, it plays into the right emotional contours. The idea of isolation versus
family
and
with
joy.
Family, yeah.
Being with family and being joyful with your family and celebrating with your family.
Yeah.
And Christmas is the emotional setting for that. Christmas can also be the literal setting for magical shenanigans.
Yeah.
See Miracle on 34th Street or Elf or like
Santa Claus.
The Santa Claus, literally any movie with Santa in it, basically. Because it has the subculture and because it has really, I mean, it's like own internal established mythology. It can be a setting where you say, okay, it's set around Christmas and you can set up these certain rules.
Yeah, it really, we didn't even talk about the Santa element of it. There's Christmas also comes with a religious and secular side of it.
I think that's probably because it has a long history as a holiday, and it is all these just like winter festivals rolled into a Christian celebration with just so many different little bits and pieces, but it's been built over like thousands of years.
Yeah, it's
Thanksgiving
ingrained in our society.
Yeah, Thanksgiving is more artificial. Thanksgiving is much more like, hey, let's have a holiday to celebrate gratitude, and it'll be on a Thursday so we can get a long weekend. We'll eat some food. It'll be good.
Yeah. Christmas is easier to capitalize because of all these reasons. It's like, we could talk about how it's easier to make a movie about it, but it's more about how much money can we make from it? What can, like,
if you want to be full cynical.
We can capitalize on the fact that people like Santa.
Yeah.
You got a movie called Santa Claus, people are going to see it because people know Santa.
Yeah, that'll be one of the two movies they go see every year.
Right.
It'll be when all their relatives are in town and they need something to do. They go to the movie theater. I want to talk about these movies just a little bit.
Okay.
Let's get them in. I talked about Free Birds, and that one tries to take Thanksgiving as a setting, but there's so little there that they had to make it a movie about time-traveling turkeys. These other ones, Thanksgiving is really a plot device. It's an element to get characters together to introduce some other level of dramatic tension. Pieces of April and Cretia, I think, are the two that are kind of the closest, where it is set around Thanksgiving. The entire movie is set on Thanksgiving Day. Yeah, so Pieces of April, Katie Holmes has gone off to live in the big city on her own. She's kind of the wayward black sheep of the family. But her mom is dying of cancer, and so she invites her family to come down to have Thanksgiving with her in her rundown little apartment. But they spend the entire car ride down basically telling each other how much of a screw up she is and how much of a disaster it is. And in the meantime, she's working really hard and trying to get help from her neighbors to make Thanksgiving come together. And I won't tell you how it ends. I really enjoyed it. It's got Allison Pill in it, being an absolute pill. It's got Oliver Platt being an absolute platypus. If I'd prepared better for this, I would have had a good follow-up on that joke. Thanksgiving is very much the plot device to be like, okay, how can we get this tension from estranged daughter and family that doesn't like her very much, but some of them still have faith in her? How can we bring those together, make those worlds collide, get those emotional arcs going? It's convenient. It's there.
Yeah.
It could have been Easter.
I want to ask you this.
Okay.
What would you need to do? Have you thought about what you would need to do to make a Thanksgiving movie?
I think you have to make it thematically tied to the movie. In Christmas, if you can do that joy-isolation dichotomy, you have to do something, I think, with gratitude and, again, sort of the communitarian, familial celebrations. The problem is it's harder to pinpoint into a specific thing. So I think you have to very deliberately set out to say, okay, these are kind of thematic threads associated with the idea of Thanksgiving. These are the thematic threads that are going to be woven through my movie. And then you set it at Thanksgiving, and you use Thanksgiving points as plot elements. There's turkey, and there's football, and there's mashed potatoes. And it would be really hard to do. And like, you could make one of them, and then anyone else that tried to
is just going
do
to
it is going to be a carbon copy.
Yeah.
Just because there's less work to play with. It's a less fleshed out holiday.
Yeah. Hey guys, Preston here. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you liked what you saw here, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you know when we upload these every Thursday. If you want to hear more, we have an unabridged version on Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, and any other podcast app. Check us out on Instagram at JusticeLosersPod. See you next week.